have the thought, you bring in the feeling, and for me, it's just a knowing. It isn't a hope. I think a lot of people kind of trick themselves and, well, I just really hope it does, but they're not 100% committed to the fact that it's going to, because then you're giving yourself that little bit of leeway just in case it doesn't. My dad just kind of did whatever my mom said. Mm-hmm. So he worked a lot, so he wasn't around as much. And my mother was really the one that she would take me to holistic healers. She'd take me to astrologers. I'd lay on crystal beds because I really was very depressed. She would pray for me. We would do meditations. We would call on Archangel Michael and ask for protection. So she would give me all kinds of different tools, but nothing really fit, because I think at that time I really needed to have those experiences to be able to be where I am today and have an understanding and a connection with people that have gone through, through those kinds of feelings. I wouldn't ever say that I was suicidal, but I certainly know what it feels like to not want to be present. Mm-hmm. And so I think that those things happen so that I could relate on different levels with different people. But my mother really, she tried many, many things, but at that time, they didn't work. I had gone to bed, and my mother had come up at about 11 o'clock. I was already asleep, and I didn't know this till the next morning, but she had come in and said a prayer for me, and they asked the angels to surround me and to protect me because I was quite depressed. And the way that I started to protect myself from all this judgment was to gain weight. So I had a eating disorder, not bulimic or anorexic, but I just ate to fill myself up and to protect myself. Mm-hmm. And she was concerned about that. And so she'd come in and said a prayer, and I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I saw an angel just right above me, and the face looked kind of like my mother's, which I believe the reason for that was so that I wouldn't be scared. But I felt this incredible just peace and this embrace that everything was going to be okay, and I literally just rolled over, went right back to sleep, didn't think anything about it. Wasn't scared, nothing. I woke up the next morning, and I went downstairs, and I said, Mom, were you floating over my bed last night? And she said, Sonny, I don't float. And I said, well, there was this pink, I described this energy, beautiful energy, but the face looked like hers, and then immediately I was aware that that was my guardian angel. And so from that moment on, in and out of my life, I would call on my angels to help me. And it really depended on the vibration that I was in. When you're in a better vibration, you use your tools, and then you get to a place where you're feeling so good you don't think you need them anymore until you're down at the bottom. Right. So I went through several of those cycles, but that was my introduction to the angels. And then, of course, that's one of the things that I teach a lot about now, is how to communicate with our angels. Opened me up was the fact that I wasn't what I thought I was, which was I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I was someone who was different than everybody else. I felt like I was odd. I felt like I was bad. I felt like I wasn't the right type of religion or the right type of body style. And there was a lot of different things that I knew that I felt like I wasn't, but I didn't know what I was. And as I've gone through my spiritual evolution and growth, I've learned that I'm me, and that changes and grows and evolves. And so as I've grown and evolved and learned to embrace all of those things, I have been guided to help others find that within themselves also. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I found that it wasn't necessarily the place that I fit. So I went to California for a few years. That didn't work so much, and really I was drawn to Arizona. I always was drawn to the warmth, the heat. My name is Sunny, so I'm like, Arizona makes sense. Right. And so I ended up in Arizona about 17, 18 years ago. And I really started feeling like that's when I stepped into who I was, is when I moved to Arizona. Well, I really believe that the energy here is an extremely open energy. We have such a diverse group of people and beliefs and things like that. And when I was growing up, it was so limited. And I am someone that really needs that expansion and that connection on so many different levels. And so I think that when I got here, it allowed my spirit to connect with all the different levels that I was, where when I was younger I just felt like I was trying to fit into a box, and I don't fit into a box very well. And so as I grew and evolved and got to the place where I was here in Arizona, I was able to expand and realize that I didn't need to fit into a box, and that there were aspects of me that it was okay to allow those to come through. And it really just opened my spirit and allowed it to soar. I believe that I'm here to learn, to grow, and to teach. And that manifests itself in many different ways. I have a lot of people that will ask me, similar to the question you're asking, which is, what is my purpose? And they're trying to figure out their purpose. And I think that's such an interesting question, because my perception is that people think that their purpose is something that's down there. It's at the end of the rainbow, it's at the end of the lifetime, I hope to reach my purpose. And what I've learned is that, when I was 18 years old and pregnant, that was my purpose. And when I was changing those diapers and eating peas and rice, that was my purpose. And when I was 25 and having a miscarriage, that was the purpose I was serving at that time. And when I was doing hospice work, that was my purpose. And if we stay in the moment, wherever we are in this moment, if we believe everything happens for a reason, how can you not be serving your purpose in the moment? But we have such a focus on the end result of everything that it's something that we have to aspire to be, and I already am. And you already are. Everyone is living their purpose, as wonderful as that looks, or as not so wonderful as that looks in that moment.